Fresh footage just surfaced showing Fat Joe stepping directly to Wack 100 during the Super Bowl weekend this past February, and it's far more intense than people were expecting. And it wasn't just Joe either. Terror Squad was right there behind him, moving like a unit, while Wack had his own crew close, but still looked visibly shaken if you watched the clip carefully. This wasn't podcast talk or internet energy. This was face-to-face pressure in real time, which is something you rarely see from the same crowd that typically stays comfortable behind microphones on platforms like No Jumper. Out west, Wack's name alone has people moving carefully, especially on those shows. But Joe clearly wasn't playing that role at all, stepping in with a completely different level of presence, like he was built for exactly that kind of moment. The wild part is that this clip is only a couple of months old and is just now going viral, which makes the timing look very calculated, especially considering Wack was recently on Clubhouse talking about how he pressed Fabulous and had him leave a club in front of Joe. This footage flips that entire narrative and puts everything into question, making the whole situation look far messier and more complicated than people originally thought. The timing of this clip dropping feels deliberate because it lines up perfectly with everything Wack 100 has been saying lately in interviews and online. He already sat down with Vlad TV and spoke on the situation, and now this footage surfaces showing Fat Joe actually stepping to him directly over those rat accusations.
Get out of there.
In the block.
Quick. He hear Fat Joe say, yo, Wack, what is going on? Wack, what's happening? They see Wack say, Fat Joe, this me you talking to. And walk up. Niggas get to getting out of there. 15, 20-minute conversation. I'm thinking we're in an intricate place. Fat Joe man tell a nigga with the camera, hey, kill that camera. It ain't on. I don't give a fuck if it was on. I'm letting you know what you better not raise up. Somebody still had the footage.
All of that talk tied to people in Joe's circle, like Pistol Pete, across No Jumper and even on Clubhouse, built a narrative over time. And now it looks like that same narrative caught up to him in real life, face to face.
There was a rumor that Fat Joe confronted you over comments you made about Max B and Pistol Pete.
That's no rumor. I told the world that. We got video footage. I never put it out. I'll send you the video so you can. I think we got some video footage when it first.
He might not be the biggest name when you stack up hip-hop legacies, and his catalog isn't always placed at the very top, but he still carries himself like someone who refuses to be brushed aside. When something crosses a line, especially involving people close to him, he's willing to address it directly and in person. So even if this moment doesn't suddenly rewrite everything about his status, it still earns a level of respect because he didn't stay silent and he didn't hide behind interviews. Meanwhile, in that same clip, Wack looks caught completely off guard, almost unsure how to respond in the moment, which only adds more fuel to how people are reading the situation right now. The full footage lays it all out clearly, and once you watch it from start to finish, the tension speaks entirely for itself. Wack's body language told the story before anyone even said a word. You could see him adjusting, surveying his surroundings, moving carefully like he didn't want anything going sideways too fast. It wasn't just about the words being exchanged, it was the energy in that room, and it felt like he knew he wasn't in the strongest position at that particular moment. Even if he was outnumbered, people still expected a stronger response from someone who usually speaks with that level of confidence online. From one angle, standing firm and doubling down would have looked bold, but that also could have escalated into something far worse instantly. Situations like that don't stay verbal for long when things go wrong, so choosing not to push it further may have actually been the smarter move, even if it didn't look as strong on camera. Either way, the clip created a sharp contrast between how things get said in interviews versus how they actually play out face to face. Now all of this circles back to Fat Joe and how people judge him overall. He's been criticized for years, accused of exaggerating stories, speaking loosely on sensitive topics, and those issues even led to backlash during major opportunities like the BET Awards hosting situation. Add in the ongoing debates about his comments on hip-hop history, and it's clear his reputation has been questioned more than once. But moments like this complicate that image, because while the criticism still exists, seeing him show up in person forces people to reassess how they weigh his actions against his words. Even with everything that has been said about Fat Joe over the years, this moment doesn't erase all the criticism surrounding him. A lot of people in hip-hop still take issue with his past moves, certain statements that rub the culture the wrong way, and what some see as favoritism, and none of that disappears overnight. Stepping to Wack 100 like that might look bold, but being confrontational alone doesn't define anyone's real standing or legacy in hip-hop. It was more of a reaction to the circumstances than anything deeper, just handling business in the moment the way he felt he had to. At the same time, this clip does more damage to Wack 100's image than anything else if you really break it down. This isn't the first time people have seen him in an uncomfortable or vulnerable position, and moments like this start stacking up whether he likes it or not. It creates a widening gap between the image he projects in interviews and how things actually play out face to face. That contrast is what people are focused on now, and is not helping his narrative at all. It also throws doubt on stories he's told before, like the situation involving Fabulous allegedly leaving a club. Even if that did happen, this footage makes people question the reasoning behind it, because now it doesn't necessarily look like it came from fear or pressure. It could just as easily be someone choosing to avoid unnecessary conflict, especially when other tensions, like his connection to Jim Jones, are already in play. Fabulous and Jim Jones are close and even collaborate on content together, like the Let's Rap About It podcast, so there's already a layer of loyalty involved before Wack even enters the picture. That alone can explain why certain conversations never happen, because some people would rather sidestep a situation entirely than get pulled into something tied to existing beef. It's not always about fear. Sometimes it's just about not entertaining unnecessary problems. But when it comes to Wack, moments like this don't go away. They stack up and shape how people view him over time, especially given how he moves on platforms like No Jumper, where he's known for controlling the room and putting pressure on others during conversations. Now that this footage is circulating, that same energy is being directly compared to how things looked in person, and the difference is becoming harder to ignore. That contrast forces a shift in perception, whether it's fair or not. If things had gone differently in that moment with Fat Joe, the reaction online could have flipped completely. A stronger response might have changed the entire narrative and boosted how people rate his presence across different regions, not just within one scene. In the end, this clip leaves plenty of room for debate, with some people questioning and others defending, and that conversation is only going to continue.
And the practice that I gotta go figure it out, we're gonna get done with it. Don't nobody know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know who do the schedule. I don't.
Good morning. What I do know is that unless you're changing the title, you don't have to keep redoing the room. It sets up as recurring. You have the option for that. Know who would reschedule this room because of the same title every day.
You don't got the same guy title every day. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
You always come over like you know what we're talking about. Nigga, I got room schedulers. This ain't Dante Brook room. That's why I got room schedulers, so I can narrow it down. Did you know that?
I stand corrected.
Yeah, I know. Talking out your ass. Either your ass or AI. Don't me right now. Unless you really want that. Come over here with your bright ass ideas. I have room schedulers. You coming over here with these bright ass ideas like Einstein or something. You always do that shit. Don't know when to shut up and kick back. And then get mad when somebody call you on your shit.
Either way, this situation added another layer to how both sides are being judged right now. At the end of the day, this whole thing splits opinions, because even people who aren't fans of Fat Joe still have to acknowledge that he stepped up and made it a real moment on camera. That doesn't suddenly make him flawless, but it does show he was willing to match energy in person, and that alone is what people keep coming back to. Meanwhile, Wack 100 had a chance to stand firm in that same moment, and even if things didn't need to escalate,
people expected at least a stronger stance from him, given how he typically carries himself publicly. The age factor adds another layer too, because Joe isn't exactly young, but he still moved with full confidence in that situation. That contrast makes the moment stand out even more, since both of these men are seasoned and experienced. Yet the energy on camera didn't match what people are used to seeing from either of them online. It highlights just how different real-life encounters can be compared to the narratives built through interviews, live streams, and audio spaces. At the same time, this clip is only getting this much attention because it's genuinely rare to see something like this actually captured on video. Stories about confrontations involving Wack have been circulating for years, especially across platforms like Clubhouse, but clear in-person footage like this rarely surfaces. That's what makes this moment stick. Instead of just hearing about it, people are finally watching it unfold in real time, and that completely changes how the entire situation is being evaluated. This whole thing really comes down to perception, because even after seeing everything, opinions aren't landing in the same place. Some people are giving Fat Joe more respect for stepping up in person, while others are holding on to the same criticisms they've had about him for years. One moment like this doesn't fully rewrite someone's reputation, especially when there's already a long and complicated history attached to how people view them. At the same time, Wack 100's image doesn't collapse off a single clip either. His presence online has been built over a long period of time, particularly through platforms like Clubhouse, where he's maintained a strong and loyal audience for years. That kind of consistent influence doesn't disappear overnight, regardless of how one moment looks on camera. Even when people question certain actions, that the core group continues to support and amplify everything he puts out. And that's the key difference here, because real-life moments might shift the conversation temporarily, but long-term influence is built through repeated visibility and controlling the narrative over time. Wack has spent years constructing that ecosystem around himself, and even when criticism surfaces, it rarely slows down his reach or authority in those spaces. So, while this clip adds pressure and sparks debate, it's not enough on its own to undo everything he's built. At this point, nobody is really switching sides overnight, and you can already see how people are reacting without holding anything back. The footage speaks for itself, and everyone is reading it the way they want to read it, whether that means giving Fat Joe credit for stepping up or questioning why Wack didn't match that same energy in a moment. Opinions are divided, and that's exactly why this clip keeps gaining traction the way it is. Now it all comes down to how you see it. Does this moment change how you view Fat Joe, or does his past still outweigh everything? Does Wack take a real hit from this, or does his presence stay the same moving forward?